Welcome to Pencil Leadership. I'm Chris Anderson, success and lifestyle entrepreneur, and I'm on a mission to help you realize your full potential so you can leave a positive mark on the world. So if you're ready, take out your pencils and let's begin. And if you want to make a difference in the lives of others, share this episode, go over to Apple Podcasts and follow us there to leave a positive rating and review. And together we can leave a bigger positive mark on the world. Marcus is the founder of Venly Consulting Group, and he helps B2B sales professionals sell and earn a hilarious amount more through his coaching and training programs. He's also executive member on the Forbes Business Council and has been featured in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Market Watch, and many more. So he's also one of the top sales experts in the world to follow. And that was given to him, that title, by Salesforce and LinkedIn. So Marcus, super grateful to have you back on Pencil Leadership, man.
Hey, Chris, my pleasure to be on here, man. And I'm excited for round two because I got more energy than ever before. So we'll have some fun, I promise.
Absolutely. So I've been following you, obviously, on Instagram. And man, if you guys aren't following him on Instagram, you need to. Just the sales information he puts out there is phenomenal. And I've learned a ton from him through it. And so I'm excited to dive into this for you all to become a better salesman just by learning from that. So Marcus, I mean, how long have you been in sales, for one?
Yeah, what a good question. And I think a lot of times when we think about the traditional sales career, it's like, hey, when do you start actually selling something? If we're looking at that, I've been in sales for probably over 2 decades, from, selling my parents' restaurant to, selling Speedos at one point to actually breaking into B2B sales and just a bunch of other careers in between. But all of it involving, some sort of transaction between a good or service for exchange of money. But when I think about what sales really is, sales is really being able to influence someone else to part ways with time, money, or resources. So when you think about it that way, we're really in sales our entire life, because I don't know about you, but I have a toddler. My toddler is always trying to sell me on why he needs certain things, Octonauts, more candy, more whatever, right? You talk to a doctor, they're trying to sell you on a certain prescription. You talk to a teacher, they're trying to sell you a certain knowledge. So we are always influenced in some way, shape, or form. So it's really been a part of our lives. But from a professional perspective, from a corporate career perspective, I did for 14 years in corporate sales.
Wow. So lots of experience, lots of learning, I'm sure, from that. What's one big lesson that you've learned along those years that really have kind of stuck with you to make you the top-notch salesman you are today?
Definitely one huge lesson is it's never about us as a salesperson. And what I mean by that is sometimes we think, well, if we're selling something, we need to really push really hard, be really aggressive, be really persuasive. We need to be really good at pitching. We need to push this feature or benefits. And I think it's because of how media portrays salespeople. But I have found the top salespeople don't focus on themselves or their own company. They focus on the other person, who they are speaking with, the other party or parties of people, and focusing on them. What's most important to them, really understand them. It's a little bit of an overused word of empathy, but really it's making sure they truly empathize and see where that person's coming from and being able to provide a solution or product or offer to fulfill a specific need for them or for their organization. And those who can truly listen and really understand their customers and their prospects are ultimately the ones who are able to sell the most.
Okay. And really am excited to dive into this with my next question, because I feel like sales is such a taboo topic a little bit. People, they think of the old hard-nosed salesperson and they just have a bad taste in their mouth, or they, I don't like sales. I'm not, whatever it is. But so you're talking about knowing that person that you're trying to sell to and making it about them. So how can someone who's maybe just starting out the gate in sales, how do they go about knowing that prospect better and making that sales call about the individual and not about the salesperson?
Such a great question. So one of the simplest ways, even from a process perspective, is really think to yourself, when I'm on a phone call or a Zoom call or face-to-face meeting with my prospect, who talks more? Me or them? Me or them? And even just in that perspective, right, just to have a little bit of self-awareness, if you find yourself talking 80% of the time on that sales call, well, chances are they're probably not going to buy, or they're getting pushed into a product or solution or whatever. So that's the first thing you want to just be aware of. Now, to find out how you can improve that, there's a couple different ways. And really, it's taking the time now to really understand and see what's on their mind. And there's a lot of different ways you can go about this. This could be anything from listening to call recordings, if your company has that, to even you simply interviewing potential customers, like a really fast way to get market research. So let's just say, for example, if I was going to create a new solution or offer and I wanted to target, podcast professionals, I'm just making something up, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just trying to, do a bunch of cold outreach, trying to, get a bunch of sales calls, you're better off doing a market research perspective and see if you can get on a call with them to just understand their market a little bit more. What are their pains, their concerns, their desires? What do they struggle with? What are the biggest issues? And then from there, once you have a good understanding, and you'll see the more of these calls you do, the more you'll see common language being used and what's most important for them. So now when you're in those conversations, how to kind of guide those conversations when you're actually on a sales call to uncover what their pain points are and what some of the challenges they may run into. And because you've had conversations already, now you know them so well. And that's really, really powerful. On top of that, you could also just do simple research as well and see what people are talking about. So for example, you can look at your biggest competitors. Where do they sell? Where are their reviews being posted? Maybe say if it's Amazon or G2 or other review sites. What do people say about their product? What's great and what are the challenges? And you'll see when you read the reviews, especially the ones that are between, let's say if it's 5 stars, between 2 and 4, they'll tell you everything you need to know about what's really on their mind, on whether there's gaps in the performance of that product you're offering. Yeah. So now number one, you understand your prospect more. But number two, if you actually are the one who creates your product or solution, you can now build a better mousetrap, if you will, based on the feedback you're actually getting from your actual target market.
That's really good. And finding out, so you mentioned getting on calls with them just for market research. Do you approach those individuals with that? Like, hey, I'm doing research for X and I just am looking for your opinion, your feedback. Is that how you approach that? And just to get them on a 100%. Call? Okay.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You can do cold outreach that way, right?
Okay.
And it's really coming from a point of, and sometimes if you do, let's say, cold messaging, whatever, you can be funny with it. Say, hey, so-and-so, I'm actually doing a little bit of market research. I'm hoping I can just borrow about 10 minutes of your time. I know you're very busy, but it would mean the world to me if you're able to, give me a little time to uncover more about X target market. I promise you there's no sales pitch involved purely for a research perspective. It would really help the community. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
Something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to say yes, but some people, yeah, sure, 10 minutes, okay. I'll give you a little bit of time. And here's the really cool part. If it's your target market, say if you're new into a specific industry, if you do, say, 10 of those calls, now you have some rapport with them. You could also tee up for a future sales call if you want to sell them your new offer. You could say, hey, listen, so Chris, after I put together all the information I put into a report, would you be interested to see the report findings from peers just like you in the industry to see what they're doing? Yeah, that sounds pretty good. Awesome. So now you're positioning yourself for a back-end sales call if you really want to get really strategic. Once you're done with all you gather, you say, hey, listen, I got this report. Would you want to see? We can kind of discuss it really quick. Yeah, cool. They can discuss it. They say, wow, that's really great. Now you're an expert now because you've done your research. They say, hey, listen, because of all those findings, I actually put together a solution to solve this. I'm not sure if you're interested. If you are, let me know. I can share with you. If not, no biggie. If they're interested, they probably are at this point. Like, yeah, sure, tell me all about this. And then you can discuss your offer with them. And you already know their pain points.
Yep.
You already know what's on their mind. And now you can make them an offer if you'd like to pre-sell a program.
So good. And it's all coming from a position of giving too, because you're giving them the opportunity to speak about their problems so you can create something for that market. And then you're giving them the results and kind of putting it in their hands almost. You're giving them the power, the leverage.
Correct. Because ultimately, I'm a firm believer, to master selling is to serve at the highest level. Like if you truly have a great solution, a great offer, a great product or whatever, and you can really help someone, they're buying because they see value and you're probably solving some sort of problem for them. Yeah. So there should be zero guilt. You shouldn't feel sleazy about it unless you're being a sleazebag and it's not a good fit. But if you do it properly, you are going to transform and really help them. Like, for example, what you offer, you're helping people, build a business, right? To build something really awesome that could be a legacy for them in the future, So if they seek that, it's a great solution.
You love listening to podcasts, but have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? Maybe you want to build a brand, grow your business, or are looking for an excuse to talk about your favorite hobby. Whatever your reason for making a podcast, Buzzsprout is the place to start. Since 2009, Buzzsprout has helped over 300,000 people launch their own podcasts. Buzzsprout walks you step by step through the whole process and will give you powerful tools to start, grow, and monetize your podcast. Ready to get started? Click the link in the show notes to get our free step-by-step guide to starting your podcast today.
No, that's a good point. So with that, so people starting out building their businesses, they probably know their market at least. So what tips or advice do you give these individuals starting out on prospecting, on going to find these potential clients, these potential, audience members, target market individuals?
So the first piece is understanding, where's your crew hang out? Where's the target market hang out? And there's many platforms for sure, but ideally, when you're going after a market, you want to make sure it's easy to find. That's really important. And it's easy to find. They have money. They're willing to spend money. It's something they see value in. So this is actually why if you're building a new offer, I actually recommend pre-selling it before you make anything to make sure people actually want it before you make the offer. But otherwise, you might spend all this time building this offer out and nobody wants it. So making sure you pre-sell it first, okay? But the key is, where do you find them? So I picture if you're looking on, say, social media, where do they hang out? If they're not on social media, where can you get a hold of them? And wherever they're hanging out is where you have to go. So for example, if your primary target market is hanging out at, say, major physical events, you probably saw a major impact to your business when COVID first hit. All right. So where are they hanging out now? Is it in Facebook groups? Is it on Reddit threads? Is it on LinkedIn? And if it's on a platform of some sort, imagine it's also a really huge platform. So it's like, for example, I picture like, say, Instagram or LinkedIn. It's a huge ocean. Yeah. And it doesn't mean your target market's everywhere. So you can't just post something into the interweb, if you will, and hope they see it.
Yeah.
Where are they hanging out so they can see your stuff? All right. So picture within the big ocean of each platform, there's bodies of water where your target market's hanging out. And how can you find them? And so, for example, one of the easiest ways is on a social media platform is to look to who are the industry leaders on the platform in your specific niche. For example, let's just say maybe you have a fitness offer. If you're selling the B2C market, you have a fitness offer. And, if you just go on the link and start posting about fitness, you may or may not get any leads, but they're not going to see your stuff. But if you find some very well-known, fitness, quote unquote influencers, people that, your target market really goes after, you start following them, engaging on their content. Now their audience is going to see it. So you're going to borrow their traffic. All right. So go to where they are hanging out. That's one of a very easy way to start doing it. But on top of that, wherever they're hanging out, how can you acquire their data? How can you acquire the data and start doing outreach to them? If you can do cold outreach to them. Okay. So for example, on LinkedIn, I'm very big on LinkedIn, very bullish on it because of the targeting capabilities. Let's just say, for example, if I want to sell my sales training to corporations, I can say, you know what? I want to look for organizations between the size of 100 to 300 employees, because that means they probably have a sales team of at least 10 or more, right? Doing at least 50 million a year sales. So I know they have money, been around for at least 10 years, and also that the C-suite they're going to go after, and they also like fitness. Okay. Now I could just start our list, and it'll show me exactly who those people are. And I can just do direct outreach to them on LinkedIn and connect with them, send them messages, and generate meetings off that as well. So wherever they're going to be is very key.
That's huge. And so I'm curious with that. So say people have narrowed it down, they found where these individuals are and how to narrow into that search. Now, what do you suggest people do to start those conversations, to start building that rapport, I guess? Do you do the targeted engagement, direct messaging, or do you have a different approach?
Yeah. So let's just say if it's LinkedIn, because they're such a great example, right? Yeah. So let's just say I have my list now. Say it's like 100 of those people that follow my market, right? So unless you have a sales team, maybe you're doing this on your own. If you're doing this on your own, this is exactly what I would do, right? So number one, I would go and take a look really quick. Did they post anything over the last week? That's the first thing. If they did, go on there and engage on that post, okay? And what I mean by engage, you want to like it, but also drop a thoughtful comment. So something insightful that it's clear you read the post they put up. All right. Now, if the post is like 5 weeks old, 2 months old, don't do that. If it's within a week or so, you're pretty good. You want to make it clear that, you saw it looks pretty clear. So you engage in that post. Okay. Something thoughtful is going to stand out. That's the first thing. Now, if you want to share it, well, you can share it as well. And then they're seeing people do multiple things now. So that's the first thing. Then I'll send them a connection request. Okay. Now, if you're going to send a connection request, there's two types. Either, number one, it's crystal clear. You did your homework on them, and it's not some random blank, some random spammer.
Copy and paste message,
Yeah, we all get those copy and paste ones. It's like, hey, so-and-so, and they think they're being like clever, but we all can see through it. So like, though people see right through it. Instead, if it's something actually relevant, so for example, maybe they put up there that they're growing like crazy, like growing 42%, they're hiring all these roles, they have a new job opening, and you comment on that post. Now it might be like, hey, Chris, I was really impressed with your explosive growth, growing at 42% this past year, and you're hiring like 10 more people. That's awesome. Hoping to connect here.
Cool.
All right, cool. So that's really clear now. You just didn't randomly, you send them a connection request. So boom, now you know it's them. Okay? They get that connection request. And then at this point now, it's pause. You've commented on a post. You like their post. You send them a connection request. You can do this all in the same day.
Yep.
They're going to accept it. Right now, if you do the filters right on LinkedIn, you also can see who's been most active in the last 30 days and go after those first, just as more understand. Because some audiences are not active on LinkedIn. So let's say they're active on LinkedIn. They accept it maybe a day or a week later. When they accept it, boom, now it's actually going to show up in your inbox, okay, that they had accepted and your message is going to show up in there, all right? Mm-hmm. So at this point now, they might respond, maybe they haven't responded.
Yeah.
So at this point, what I would do is I would take your phone out and I would send them a video message. A video message custom to them, okay? Now, on the LinkedIn, whether you do on your iPhone or your Android device, you can film just a very quick 20 to 30 second personalized video showing your face and make sure there's a couple things. It's key. So like, for example, if you're watching this video live, you can see Chris and I have pretty good lighting here. We have good lighting. You can see us well. Our backgrounds are very intentional. It's not like a hot mess behind us, a bunch of like dishes everywhere, or it's like make sure it looks professional. So then when you film your video, you can film a very nice video. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. You can either go for a direct call to action to see if they're open to have a conversation, or you provide them a value. Okay. I prefer the value piece first because that has the highest likelihood for them to respond back. So, for example, let's just say if I'm doing my sales training one, I'll have my phone out. I record on my phone like this. I look in the camera. I say, hey, Chris, Marcus Shan here with Bentley Consulting. First off, thanks so much for connecting. I love seeing how your company has grown, 42% over the last year. I actually love helping CEOs help grow their company, improve their sales team performance, and actually put together this really awesome free 45-minute training to help your sales team double the amount of appointments they're currently doing in less than like 3 days.
Cool.
I've included below. Check it out. I hope you enjoy it and have a great day. See ya. My call to action is check out this free training. And then I'm going to send it to them ungated so they can check it out and they can see a lot of value into it. And that's going to be a lot of validation and credibility.
Awesome. And sorry, I started to jump in there, but for those who might not know, ungated, you mean no sign up, no anything like that. It's just straight to the video, right?
Straight to video.
Perfect. I just want to make sure.
It's still 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Cool. Okay, so you send that, you sent that video to them, they check it out. I cut you off at that point. So is there another step after that, or is that kind of you let it rest for a little bit?
Wait a couple of days, see how they respond, right? Well, about LinkedIn, you can see also on like Instagram, you can tell if they look at the DM or direct message or not. So they look, okay, they look like cool. Wait a couple of days, and then shoot a message, hey, Chris, just want to get your thoughts on it. I'd love to get some feedback on it. Cool. Super easy follow-up conversations now, right? Because you provide a value up front, right? Cool. That's incredibly powerful. So that's a very simple way to start building a list of people to work off of. Yeah.
I think it really is that simple. It's just people, they see it as this big monster type scary thing and especially the prospecting things. But so I love this foundation. I love to set up this process with that. And I'm actually been implementing or starting to build out an implementation part of the video as well. But so on LinkedIn, I actually have another business that is podcast production services. And so we focus on LinkedIn because we're going after B2Bs.
Yes. Yeah.
So for those who are starting like a service-based business that's not necessarily like a coaching or something like that, how could they swing the video? What value could they add through that video for people to look at?
Great question. So if you're thinking about providing some sort of deposit of some sort, so I call it like you're basically giving a deposit of some sort.
Okay.
I just gave an example of sales training because ultimately that's solving a specific problem, which is their sales team getting more appointments. Now, just think about whatever your target market is struggling to do. right? That's what you want to provide for them. So if you're fortunate, like you and I, we have our own business, we can create something, okay?
Yeah.
We can create something like some sort of tool. It could be a PDF guide. It could be a video training. It could be really just something specific to that B2B company if you're going after them. And what would they see value in that's really going to help them? That's not a sales pitch, but something, if they consume it, they're like, wow, that was pretty useful. And I'm really glad that it really helped me. So for example, maybe yours could be like, you could provide them like 3 simple steps to utilize podcasts to grow your business. I'm just making something up.
Yeah.
Right. So when they read, like, oh, wow, it's kind of a subtle sales pitch because once they're bought into that concept, then they're like, oh, you know what? I need to do this, but who can I reach out to? Right?
Right, exactly.
So it'll still be very powerful. Even if the value is shifting beliefs, that can be really powerful as well. So that's a really good one as well. Ultimately, what's going to be of value to them? Now, if you don't do that, you can do a soft but direct pitch, if you will. And you can still do video. And it might sound simple like, hey, Chris, Marcus with Bentley Consulting here. First of all, thank you so much for connecting. Really impressed with your 42% growth, whatever I said, 42% growth with your company over the last year. And the reason I was actually reaching out is I've actually worked with a number of businesses in your specific industry, X, whatever it's going to be, helping them double their business through some of our services. Just want to see you're open to have a quick conversation, see if it's a good fit for me to help you out as well. Have a great day. Cool. See ya. Super soft. There's no calendar link. There's no book time here. Just like it's more of an interest-based one. Now, it works not as effective as a value-based one, the deposit, but still very effective as well if you don't have something to give out quite yet.
Gotcha. No, that's a great point. Another good stepping stone for people. So that's something that came in my head when you said that was you're talking about in this market, this X market, whatever it is, I'm assuming, and could be completely wrong because we know what assuming does, but you probably guide people on picking one market, right? You don't want them to, do outreach to one market this day and then one market the next day. You'd want them to focus on one same market continually until they build a certain level, right?
Ideally, yes, because there's a few different reasons. Number one, your marketing copy, your sales copy, it's going to be much easier to kind of follow. Your talk tracks are much more similar. You also become more specialized yourself in that industry. So even if you have zero history in that industry, but when you are consistently working the same market over and over and over, you're like, okay, cool. Like I feel really comfortable selling into, say, software, businesses or industrial businesses now between this size. So now when I'm speaking to them and having conversations, you have also a lot of conviction in what you're saying because you're so comfortable with that industry versus you're not sure if it'll work or not. So for example, like we also get a lot of inbound leads too. With the way our business is set up, we get at least 4 to 5 additional book calls a week just from inbound that are like us not doing anything else. And sometimes they're like kind of out of market. So for example, as of right now, we don't have anyone who's currently selling into the German market in our programs, right? So last week, we had some book call from the German market. I still got on a call with them because sometimes they live in Germany, they sell somewhere else. Nope, they're in Germany selling to the Germans. I'm like, Now, and when they're asking me, do you feel confident knowing your stuff will work selling to Germans in the German market? I'm like, no, I don't have confidence. Right? I was transparent. I'm like, because I haven't done it yet. Like, you be the first. And if it goes well, great. So I was very transparent. So I don't have that conviction myself because we haven't done it yet. That's why that niching down is so powerful.
I think I agree with you 100%. Niching down is huge. And right there, that kind of sets you in my mind apart too, that transparency within that conversation with the individual from Germany. Because some people, and I've been in the scarcity mindset, but those in the scarcity mindset, oh, it's a sale, we'll make it work. But you being transparent there, I think is going to produce better dividends down the road, regardless if you work with them or not, just from that fact, because you want to do the best you can for the individuals and not just about a paycheck. So I think that's another crucial point too.
So true. I found the more transparent you can be in your sales process, the more they're going to trust you, the more they're going to want to do business with you, the more they're going to be a really good client or customer for you. If they feel you're just being dishonest with them or you're just telling them what they want to hear, they're going to see right through it. This is actually why people ask me have you had people have failed your program? I'm like, yep. And here's why. I explain why. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like, so this is actually why I'm really intentional. When you get to a point, especially when you become very confident in sales, you also realize it's very important to qualify them, but it's just important to disqualify them as well. So this way, nobody's time is wasted.
Absolutely. And that was going to be my next question. How do you disqualify individuals coming into a sales call? Or what are some good metrics to use to disqualify?
For me, there's a couple different things, right? So even with my specific process, I have an application process to work in my program, right? So the application itself will tell me a couple of things that's really important for me to know. Number one, do they have a clear issue they want to solve?
Okay.
Like, do they have a pain or issue that I want to solve, or a specific desire they want to achieve that I know I can help with? If the answer is no, it's not going to be a good fit. My time's valuable, so is theirs. I would hate to get on a call with someone just to chit chat about nothing when it's a sales call to potentially help them. And everyone's time is very valuable. That's the first piece. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, I also have a money qualifier on my questions as well. So I literally will ask them on there, like, do you have access to financial resources? Either you do have them, you have access, or you don't. Again, that pre-qualifies them again. Now, every industry is a little bit different, but this is my specific industry for what I do. So I can tell pretty quickly if they say they have access, great. And I literally ask, how much do you have available? And when can you start? So mine are very direct because we have so much traffic and so much inbound coming in from people want to work with us that we only have so much time. We have to filter it out. And we have capacity constraints. So because of that, we can be a little more selective of who we talk to. Now, if you're not getting much of influx, you have to kind of soften your language a little bit and like not have any filters in place. Okay, so I just put that as a little asterisk. And that tells you a lot how serious they are, right? Timing as well. If it's a good fit, when is it going to be a good fit? Okay. Now, that's from my process, but overall, from a sales process perspective, if you want to qualify someone, here's how you kind of set yourself up. Number one, are they the right person to talk to?
Yeah.
Number two, do they have some sort of desired need or problem or issue, right? And then depending on how early or how warm they are, you could have a money qualifier as well, but you don't necessarily have to, okay?
Gotcha.
At the very least, can you solve a problem for them, and do they influence the decision? And then from there, you can kind of decide on the call and go deeper to make sure it's actually qualifying worth your time.
Perfect. And now, do you qualify through like a type form or like a survey type thing before they schedule a call, or is this in like the DMs, or both, I guess?
It depends. So we have a mixture of a few different ways people get into our sales process. So if they book inbound, they're going to go through, we're using like Jotform, but we made it a little bit simpler. So now we just use it all within the Calendly because you can do like 10 questions. A little bit cleaner. We just do it all within there. That's very easy to do. If it's not from there, if we're doing, because my team also does outbound calls too, they'll qualify on the phones. Cool. So my appointment setter will qualify on the phones before they set the appointment for us.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room to kind of make it and tweak it what works best for you and your market. So that's awesome. One kind of final question before we kind of wrap up, and this has been great so far. With your sales process, so you have obviously, the value you provide attracts people into, inbound funnels, things like that. And then you have the outbound where you go and find them kind of thing. But what's that process look like kind of once you have them scheduled? Do you do like 2 call close, or is it more than that? Do you do just 1 call close, or what's that kind of look like from that high level?
Most time, like our offer is under 10K. So it's it's a pretty simple offer. So usually it's a 1 call, maybe a 2 call close. Sometimes more, it just depends on the situation. Ultimately, this is actually why it's really key that when you do a really good job on the front end of the process. So meaning, when you're actually on the call with them, you do a really good job setting the expectations, right? So, for example, we'll have opportunities where we get on the call with them, everything just aligns really well, and boom, 45 minutes later, and they're paying us and they're joining our program. Great. Awesome. Really good. Some situations, maybe they're trying to get funding from maybe the bank, or maybe they need to take a loan out, or maybe they need to cash out some Bitcoin or something like, like then it might be a multi-part process. Right? Because they have to go cash it out, wait a couple days. It shows up in the bank and it's a Friday. Got to transfer the funds. It becomes a little bit longer, but it might still be a 2 call process, right? It just kind of depends. If it's going to be a multi-call process, the most important thing is like when people are going to look to do an investment, are they 100% certain you can solve the problem? That's really key. So when you get to that point at the end of the time we have together on the first call, if they're not 100% certain before you wrap the call up, then as a sales professional, me or anybody else should not be trying to close them.
Yeah.
If they're not 100% certain in the process, you don't want that, because ultimately you're going to have issues down the road as a potential customer or client. So they need to be 100% certain as well, feeling really good too. Because if they're not 100% certain, then you really should pause the opportunity and set up a next call. So this way they feel really, really good. So I'll give you an example. So I had a call last week, really good call. And it was just like, oh, I knew this person would be just a fantastic fit in the program. Everything was well aligned. Everything's fantastic. But she was an 8 out of 10 on uncertainty, right? So
Okay.
meaning 10's 100% certain, 1 being
Yeah.
not at all. She's an 8 out of 10. And as part of my process, I make sure I know exactly where they stand before we wrap up. She's like, I'm an 8 out of 10. And when we started diving deeper, she felt good about everything, but she wanted, even though even when they got before they got a call, they see between 50 to 100 testimonials and screenshots. So they should hopefully have like zero question about, if they it works or not. But she still was, I could tell, very analytical type, like just came huge list of questions, like boom, boom. I'm like, she's very analytical. I totally get it. I need to meet her where she's at is the key. It's not about jamming it down her throat and say, nope, you need this because you've been through my process. No, that wasn't the right move. So I said, no problem. And I just uncovered what would get her to a 9 or 10. She wanted to speak to 3 people. I said, no problem. I'll send it to you. We set up a follow-up call for this coming week, give her a whole week to be able to reach out to those people, and gave her a little bit of homework as well, send her some information about, some other things, more credibility so she can consume that too. So she felt even more comfortable to get her to that 10 point. So now we have another call coming later this week. Hopefully she'll enroll and she'll be a great client to work with. But again, it's meeting them where they're at as well. It's not about sleazy sales tactics. It's not about being pushy. She was an 8 out of 10. There was no way she doesn't get a 10 out of 10 before we wrap the call up. No problem. Now we know what we need to do to get her to that point. We provide that for her and help her get there. Does that work every time? No, not at all. Sometimes it's just not going to work out. Maybe they just have a change of heart. That's okay. That's 100% okay. But ultimately, if you want to truly serve them, do what's best for them. And you lead them through a process that truly serves a prospect and is not focused on the well-being of the salesperson.
I love that. And again, I've seen a lot of people coaching sales and getting information out there, but Marcus, truly just the way you're going about it, the way you present, the way you show that you truly do care about the prospect and getting them results or not pushing them into something that's just not a right fit for them. It's a true testament to what you're doing and your success. So I applaud you for that. Cause like I said earlier, a lot of people get a bad taste in their mouth. And I think you are really correcting that problem. And I want everybody hopefully to connect with you and just see that sales can be a good thing because we all have it in our lives, some way or form. And Marcus is doing a fantastic job just showing the correct way to go about doing that. Last kind of wrap up thing. Yeah, no problem. Pencil leadership, the 5th traits, everyone's created uniquely with a purpose, leave a positive mark in the world. So when everything is said and done for you on earth, what do you hope your positive mark is?
Yeah, so I would say legacy. And I want to change the way people look at sales, right? And see it's really an honorable profession. When done properly, it can really change the lives of many people. It changed lives for me, or my own life personally. If I was passed away tomorrow, and people say, you know what, whether I know Marcus personally or I work with Marcus, or even I consume some of his free content, I was able to get a better result from it for myself, whether it's sales, my life, my relationship. And to me, that's why I do what I do, is to leave behind that level of impact in everything that I do.
That's awesome. I love it, man. You're doing it for sure. That's why I really resonated towards you and what you're teaching with sales, because that's not my strong point. And so being able to learn from someone who's super empathetic, transparent, just truthful and real has been really neat to see what you're doing and be connected with you. So where can everyone connect with you? I know you mentioned LinkedIn, Instagram. Where's the best place people connect with you, see what you're doing, learn from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So head over to sixfiguresalesacademy.com. Bunch of free trains on this, free resources. You can also, reach out to me and connect with me on there as well. But sixfiguresalesacademy.com is the best place to go.
Awesome. Yeah, guys, definitely check it out. Seriously. I have not been through his program, but I've seen the testimonies and I've just taken in his free resources he put out there. And it's an amazing thing. So definitely get connected with Marcus. And if you're ready for that step, I would highly recommend it even without going through the program, just from what he puts out there for free. So again, Marcus, thanks so much for being on Pencil Leadership today.
Thanks very much for having me on.
And thanks so much for tuning into this episode today. If you found value at all from this episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It just helps us get this show, these messages out in front of more people. And don't forget to share this with someone who you think could benefit from listening to as well. Now let's go out and be pencil leaders.